Dr. Todd Watts. He came to one of my doTERRA classes, a year and a half ago. And I was managing my autoimmune symptoms with essential oils and getting adjusted and some other things. And he came to my class, and I was teaching a class on autoimmunity. Can you imagine? He was in the class, and he made a couple comments, but he's a humble guy, so he didn't steal my thunder or anything. But little did I know after the class that he was this wealth of knowledge when it comes to biochemistry. He scored in the top 1% of his boards in the entire nation in chemistry. So this guy knows his chemistry. He reversed my autoimmunity. I still work with him for occasional flare-ups, but I went from taking steroids to completely having no Hashimoto's markers in my blood. He really gets in there, is able to find some things that I've never seen. People travel all over the world to come to his clinic. He's right here in Idaho, so I think he's a phenomenal speaker, phenomenal doctor, and I met my husband through him, so I kind of like him. Okay, so he's going to be talking on, we're going to talk immune system and thyroid, because I think it's such a big topic that I asked him to speak on this. Levothyroxine is the most prescribed drug in the United States, so I think he can really shed some light. He has a real gift for explaining and helping you understand how to self-heal from the inside out. So, Dr. Todd Watts.
So I always get a little nervous when I speak, so I put on some lavender,
That's
my lavender shirt. I was at a conference last week, and it was another network marketing company that has a really great cardiovascular product. And one of the guys that spoke to us is he's in the top 50 in the world in regards to income earners with MLMs or network marketing. And the interesting thing is that within that company, we talk about productivity, that's what I was talking about earlier. Who brings in the most people? Who brings in the most recruits? He was the number one in the company as well. So he's constantly out there actually bringing people in, not just sitting back and just waiting for all the money to come in. So that's one thing I wanted to throw out there to you guys that I heard. Now, healing autoimmunity and thyroid disorders is a huge topic. I could talk for hours on that. So I'm just going to try and keep it simple. Sometimes I have a hard time keeping it simple. So if I get too detailed, then just let me know. You're welcome to raise hands. Or here's a really great book that I recommend that you read. You can get off Amazon. Dr. Cross, he's the doctor that wrote that. He wrote another really great book on the brain and why my brain isn't functioning. But there's a lot of great things in there that would really give you give some good ideas of what to do with diet, nutrition, hormones, many different things in regards to thyroid. So before I get onto this, I want to ask some questions. Who's in charge of your health? You are, that's right. That's why you're here. That's why you're doing doTERRA. That's why you're learning about these things. But what's the standard in our nation right now? Who's in charge of health in general?
Big pharma.
Okay, I hear all kinds of stuff. So I hear big pharma, that pharmaceutical companies, right? Excellent, good.
Medical mafia.
Your medical mafia.
I'm in charge of my own health.
The medical mafia, okay. Who else?
Anybody else?
The FDA, okay.
Your family,
Your
such
fam-
as your parents.
Okay, parents, spouses. Yeah, absolutely. I want to throw something else out there. The insurance companies. Okay. So, and why is that? Now, the proper answer you guys gave me at the beginning, right? Which was yourself. I'm in charge of my own health care. But who influences that decision? Okay, that decision, when people come to my office every day, that decision is made and influenced by, number one, the insurance company. Okay? Are they going to pay for me to get healthy, or are they going to pay for stuff that doesn't get me healthy? Well, they pay for other stuff that doesn't get me healthy. Number two, are they going to pay for any supplementation or things that will actually heal your body, or are they going to pay for drugs that will do what? Toxify your body and harm it and keep it from doing things that it should do. Right? That's why we're doing one, to help that aspect. So I want to keep that in mind for you guys as you're going down through your life and helping dictate healthcare in your own families, for yourself, is to realize that you are going to have to take responsibility for that. You need to do the research. You need to dictate what tests should be run and be knowledgeable about what you should do. So, in regards to the thyroid, the process is we have a gland called the hypothalamus that's in the brain. Okay, that reads how much thyroid hormone T4 is in the bloodstream. It releases a hormone called TRH that tells the pituitary to release the famous hormone called TSH. Do you guys know that TSH is not a thyroid hormone? Because that's what they always run, right? When you go to the medical doctor, you're always running TSH. It doesn't tell you anything except for that, whether or not the pituitary is signaling the thyroid to produce more thyroid hormone. Okay, then the thyroid hormone makes T4 and T3. What's the difference between T4 and T3? Anybody know? T4 is the inactive form, and that's 93% of what's made out of the thyroid. T3 is 7%, and that's the active form. Okay? 4 and 3 means how many iodine molecules are on the product, in case you guys want to know. Now, the T4 is then converted over to T3, all right? And that happens with an enzyme called TPO, which comes from the liver. So the liver has an influence on the conversion of activating that hormone to work, all right? And that's one of the antibodies we check is the TPO antibodies. Okay. The other antibody we check is up there, further up. But if there's an antibody in there, then you're going to be exhausted. You'll be tired. T4 is not going to make you energy. You know, what does T3 hormone thyroid do? We always talk about it. We know the symptoms, but T3 helps drive the energetic process in the cells to make energy. So there's a part of the cell, like in our bodies, organ. In our bodies we call them organs, and in the cells we call them organelles. It's called the mitochondria. Okay, the future of medicine is all about mitochondrial function. You're going to be learning more and more about this as you're researching and studying, but your body will only heal if it has energy to do so. Okay. We're going to discuss why it doesn't have energy and what causes that breakdown today. So T3 is necessary for that mitochondria to actually be able to work and do its function. Now, other influences, stress. Stress causes the adrenal glands to release a hormone called cortisol. Okay, what does cortisol do? Well, in the right balance at the right times, it's a good thing. In the wrong balance is it can keep us up all night long and create insomnia, and then also create adrenal fatigue, and then shut down the pituitary, which then can't make any TSH, which then can become a problematic cycle. That's very much an issue. So it inhibits it in a couple of different ways in that process, but I don't think it's really necessary to go that deep into it. Just know that the adrenals can highly affect thyroid function. So this physiology, biochemistry, how the body works, to me is fascinating. I study this all the time and the interactions of this, because it really is how we're going to get ourselves better, by understanding what we need to do and where we need to address those issues. So this shows us the pathways and what happens in our bodies. It's exciting, this technology stuff. You know, like some of us didn't grow up with it. So antigens, what are antigens? Antigens, we'll go through more detail, but antigens are the bad guys, right? Antigens are the ones that cause the problems in our bodies. So when antigens come in, okay, into the body, the white blood cells are our immune system, right? The white blood cells recognize, hey, this is a bad guy. We need to do something about him. So he tags them with this thing called an antigen-presenting cell, a marker, and says, hey, you're marked. An antigen-presenting cell tells the T helper cell, say, hey, we got to get this immune system rolling. We got to get it happening here so that I can fight off what's going on with these guys. These guys are bad. And then it signals two pathways. One, the Th1 and Th2. And in autoimmunity, that's what you need. That's all about. That's what it's all about. One of those guys is overactive. Okay, one of them is working too much and destroying the tissues in the body. So what happens is that we have this guy called Th3 or suppressor cells that says, hey, back down, put you back in control. We don't need to do this. We're done. The guy's gone. We're in good health now. So we also can go another pathway called the Th17 pathway, which is chronic conditions, really bad chronic inflammation, cancer, that sort of thing. And so this is what we want to, this is where everything lies in. In between the signals, these guys are these proteins called cytokines that say inflammation. So when you get a cut in your hand and it gets a little bit red and affected, cytokines are released, creating the inflammation to help heal the body. And so that's the basic process of the immune system. What you see in autoimmunity and Hashimoto's, or any autoimmune disease, is you see this pathway or this pathway out of control, and nobody's regulating him because this guy here is not functioning anymore. Any questions on that?
On your B cells, is that supposed to be the beta cells? Is that, or is it?
No, those are immune cells.
Those are your
Immune cells, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you have T cells and B cells.
Okay.
So,
And when you're talking T cells, you're talking about the thyroid cells?
no,
Or-
the T cells from the immune system.
Okay.
They're white blood cells. They mature in different areas. Okay, one in the thymus, one in the bone. But that's what that stands for. So what are some causes of autoimmunity? And these are things that really affect everyone in here. Okay, everyone in here it affects. It just depends on what level it does affect. Okay. One, leaky gut. How many have heard that term, leaky gut? All right. We're going into more detail what that is. It's becoming more and more made public or more knowledge. Everybody's becoming with a lot more knowledge with it. Some medical doctors acknowledge it. Some of them, say that's just a word that's not really true, but I don't quite understand that. Pathogens. Pathogens include viruses, bacteria, parasites, fungus, yeast. All those are included in that. That is what I see as a really major issue in regards to these autoimmune diseases. Nutritional deficiencies, heavy metals, environmental toxins, mutated genes, too much estrogen. And you think, guys think, too much estrogen in the house, it's not necessarily a good thing. But also for your health, it's not. And then iodine. When it comes to Hashimoto's, iodine has to be highly regulated and checked. Okay? What also can cause that is stress. Physical, emotional, and chemical stress. So all of those affect the central nervous system as well. Okay? So, leaky gut. Here's some of the things that can create leaky gut. Toxins, overgrowth of the bad yeast called candida, parasites, and bacteria, especially the bad bacteria, right? We want good bacteria in there. So what happens is we want our intestinal linings to look like this. Here where the villi are all out there. And on the villi we have all our good bacteria, and they're helping digest and absorb and make nutrients, and then they absorb the nutrients in through the body. When the damaged lining occurs, there's not near the surface area to absorb, nor is there the ability to absorb the nutrients into the body. Okay? So what happens in leaky gut is the inflammation occurs and there becomes gaps in the villi. And when gaps happen, what goes inside? Bacteria can go inside the bloodstream, parasites, yeast, fungus, right? Food, right? Who has food allergies? Anybody has autoimmunity has food allergies. So when we get undigested food into the bloodstream, how does the food get digested when it gets into the blood? What does that? Our white blood cells have to finish the digestion. That puts stress onto our adrenals, and then people have these things called allergies. So now their adrenals are stressed, and then they have these seasonal allergies that are happening. Okay, what are some of the foods that create that? Okay, gluten, dairy, soda. Okay, soda's really bad. I was a bad soda drinker before.
Just any sugar.
Sugar in general is not good, but especially high fructose corn syrup, and I see people go in the stores and they get the 64-ounce soda in the morning.
Do you find a difference between the natural sodas and like Pepsi sodas?
Sure.
Okay. Do you notice that they are a little healthier for you? I'm just curious to help.
Yeah, kombucha is really good. You have to look at the ingredients, right? So you're looking, you look at Sierra Mist. with its 4 ingredients compared to Pepsi or Coke or some of those other ones, or even Sprite, there's a huge difference. Is it still healthy? Not necessarily with sugar, but it's definitely a better choice.
Getting rid of the high fructose.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. In the dyes and all the other things. So, parasites. How do we get parasites? I get this all the time in my office because I do the live blood analysis and I see parasites, and I've seen some really cool ones this week. People are freaking out about them, having anxiety, but it's amazing what can really be in the blood. And so there's different parasites. There's the red blood cell parasites that are inside the red blood cell, and there's ones that are outside that, and the ones that are called bowel parasites. I saw this week. I saw one, and it's pearls. It's kind of like a worm looking, and it's pearl. Well, this little pearl attached together. I think probably in some of my research is that's a lime spirochete. Yeah, I saw one that had kind of a head, like a triangular head of the tail thing in there this week. It was pretty fascinating. But looking at how sick these people are, it's no wonder why they have some of these pathogens, right? Something's behind it. So, what are your doctors doing to diagnose parasites? They're not really doing anything, but we can look at the blood, they can analyze the feces, and they still can't find anything. Right? So, just because you have parasites doesn't mean they can find it. It can still be in there hidden. You have liver flukes, you have lung flukes, you have parasites and viruses and bacteria can be in the brain, in the nervous system, and all the fluids. They come from fruits, vegetables, meat, animals, feces. I'll give you statistics that's disgusting. It really grossed me out when I heard it. Okay, they did a study. It's really bad. They did a study of the grocery carts, right? And they did swabs in grocery carts. 80% had feces on them. Okay. Yeah. I mean, how accurate that study is, I don't know. That's their study. What they did, I don't know what city I was in. But when I go to if I'm touching a grocery store, I'm wiping that thing down before I touch it now. After that study, after having some of the medical parasitology classes and things that I've taken, I avoid a lot of things.
Do you take your own little thing?
Most stores have them.
Yeah, do you use theirs?
I use theirs.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can take your on-card sanitation spray and just spray it.
Yeah, that works really great.
I have several of those.
Okay, Candida is a yeast that is normally harmless as a single fungus, but they don't stay that way. They can change forms. And also, what happens when the good bacteria in the gut get killed off with antibiotics, with harmful toxins, with other types of medications, it kills the good flora, the good bacteria in there, and then the yeast takes over, and the bad bacteria take over. A lot of times, what there is an acidic environment. When we have an acidic environment, we get all this anaerobic type of pathogens overtaking everything, and that leads to autoimmunity. Okay. So there it talks about imbalance of the GI yeast versus the good bacteria. Even simple things such as Prilosec can cause that. Consumption of refined carbohydrates, alcohol, caffeine, diet is very much a part of that. Any immunosuppressive medications, steroids, prednisone. And then, of course, anything that in regards to digestive stuff that block, like Prilosec, OTC medications. Now, why is Candida bad? I'm just going to go through some of this stuff. But here's why. And I've seen absolutely dramatic differences in my clinic with it. I had a gal that came in, I was working with another doctor previously. She was a patient of his, he was out of town. She's 30 years old, had fibromyalgia since she was in her early 20s. 9 years of being just pain everywhere you touch her. Can't think, street fog, can't focus at work, hard time taking care of her children. I said, well, I can either just treat your back today, or I can take you in here, let's look at your blood. I said, wow, you have a tremendous amount of Candida yeast and fungus in your blood. We need to address this. And so With the amount that she had, I gave her some products, and then I sent her to another doctor, medical doctor that is alternative. I gave her some medications. Within 2 weeks, her life was completely changed. She came back for a follow-up visit with me and said, my brain's clear, I don't have any sore muscles, pain anymore. So her case, and what was going on with her body, was a tremendous amount of overgrowth of yeast and fungus. So if your brain levels, you feel like, I just can't think clearly, then this needs to be a consideration. The great thing is doTERRA has the solution for you. And I'll give that solution to you later. All right. So it produces a toxin called acetaldehyde, or what in the doctor realms we consider yeast poop. And it causes these issues, but it also lowers taurine levels. Like, okay, so it's an amino acid. What does taurine do for you? Well, taurine increases the uptake of magnesium and potassium, which is extremely necessary for your cells to function. Okay. The other thing is it binds toxins and removes them from the liver, and not only that, but it's the base of bile salts. So we use choline and taurine to make bile salts. So bile is very important in the digestive aspect of your body. You want good fats for your brain. You want, your brain's 65% fat. You want all that good fat in there. Your body can't break it down. You can't use it unless you have things like taurine. Okay. So what are some other issues there? Toxins. Now I'm finding this significant in my practice now. Over the past few weeks, I'm constantly learning and growing in my practice in regards to the latest research and what's happening within that. And what I'm seeing is the toxins are creating a lot of the issues with celiac, IBS, all the autoimmunity within the gut, and the thyroid. And so these are a list of some of the toxins. I could have tripled the list, but I have blood panels that I can measure the toxins in there. And then I have specific things that we can do to clear those out so the body can actually start functioning more. But if you have issues with that, or your thyroid, or the brain, toxins are going to have to be cleared out. And what I'm seeing, the number one thing I'm seeing really right now is GMOs, pesticides and herbicides. Okay, settles in the intestines, and then creates all kinds of inflammation and problems. And it's this chronic issue. The other thing I see a lot is recently is radiation. Radiation. Well, 2 years ago, what happened? A nuclear plant in Japan, right? So, especially up and down the coast, but it's going all the way across the United States as the weather patterns carry it. So, that's another thing I see, especially with people that have really bad autoimmunity or just feeling really, bad skin issues, all kinds of things. Radiation exposure. The fish from the Pacific coast there probably has radiation. You have to be really careful with what you eat and stuff too. And then I had a gal that came in a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, in the office, and it was amazing because her baby was a month old and just cried since the day it was born, just severely colicky. It's my sister, and she's ready to go crazy. She has an 18-month-old and 1 month old, just going nuts. She's not getting any sleep. Both kids just crying all the time and doing stuff. Well, the baby had toxins in his stomach, creating bloating. And she was drinking a lot of bottled water. Sitting in her car, going to put bottled water when she's pregnant. So the baby had all the PBAs sitting in her stomach. So I gave her a product to help the baby clear it out. And within 2 days, it was completely new, changed baby. So I guarantee you have somebody that you know is a colicky baby. It's not just the foods. I took her off a lot of different foods that could be causing the problems, but also the toxins in the stomach and intestines. So, one thing that's interesting is diaper rashes. Like, oh wow. So autoimmunity can be starting from when you're a child, from when you're a baby, especially if one of the parents has autoimmunity. Okay. So here's some of the diseases caused by leaky gut. And we know people with, probably know, at least every one of us knows somebody that has one of these diseases. Diabetes is the most common, and it's amazing what diabetes can do. I've treated a lot of patients with diabetes, And the interesting thing is it wasn't up until this last couple weeks that I had a guy come in that already has one good leg gone here and has 3 toes cut off, and he can't get the wound healing on his right foot. So we're trying to save his right leg right now. But like, wow, that guy let it go far beyond what I would ever think somebody would want to do that. How willing are we to change our diet and lifestyle and get nutritional help over just a medication that doesn't solve the problem, doesn't change what's happening within the body? Talks about mycotoxins, healthy versus the leaky gut. So under the microscope, you see all these tiny little dots here? Under the microscope, they're just flying around. They're moving. We call it snowflakes. They're moving fast all over the place. So that's something that you can definitely see can be under the microscope. It's readily, easily seen. Digestion, and whether you're digesting your proteins, your fats, and your carbohydrates is easily seen. And so what happens when the leaky gut, what's the next thing to go after leaky gut happens? Once we have the leaky gut, or what they call the intestinal barrier compromised, the next barrier compromised is the brain barrier. Okay, it's called the blood-brain barrier. The next barrier after that, or conjunction, is called the lung barrier. Okay, so those barriers will get compromised, things will cross into those organs, and then start creating disease and eventually autoimmunity. Okay, so first and foremost comes to lifestyle. Okay. I literally have to have these discussions with people in regards to changing their diet and saying, how willing are you to do that? If you're not willing to do that, I can't help you. And you'd be amazed how many people don't come back. Right? It blows me away. They're not going to go. All I need is 6 weeks. 6 weeks of no gluten, no dairy. I have a list. These are the inflammatory foods. These are the non-inflammatory foods. These ones you can eat for these 6 weeks while we clear out your body and we heal it. Now I have a lot of people that do, and it changes their lives. But I'm just surprised by the amount of people that are willing to give up their health to eat foods they want to eat. Okay, so probiotics are really important digestive enzymes, help to digest and absorb nutrients, and fiber, vitamin D3, L-glutamine powder, and glutathione. So these are all things that you can do to help repair the intestinal barrier to prevent autoimmune disease. Okay, and this is what an excellent start. And I'm going to come back. Glutathione and vitamin D3 are extremely important because that nice, cool chart that I made, you know, I'm going to show you where that plugs in here in a minute and what that does. Why are enzymes important? Why do we need to take these enzymes? Well, how many eat 70% raw food diet? Not me either. All right. Our food has enzymes to help us digest it. Unless you're eating a high percentage of raw food, right? You're not getting the enzyme. You're stressing your pancreas, you're stressing your liver, the gallbladder, the intestines, all those systems that provide the enzymes and the digestive, the bile and everything that you need to break the foods down. You're stressing those, you're putting them in overdrive. That's an issue with the diabetic people, right? In diabetes, they're eating so much sugar consumption, meaning not only sugar, but fruits and juices and sodas and pastas and all that sugar. There's no difference, right? And so we need help to take a little bit, give a little stress relief off our pancreas and off our liver and systems. The enzymes, if there's one thing you can do, you gotta get a really good enzyme protocol. And then the probiotics are going to support that because they also take a key role in digestion and providing nutrients into the body. Okay. Any questions on this? All right. Heavy metals can highly affect the immune system, but also what it does is it protects the pathogens. So if you have heavy metals locked in the brain, right, where a lot of them go to, and you're trying to kill off viruses and parasites that are in the brain, or fungus, they hide near the heavy metals because it kills the white blood cells. So that's where you know, you gotta be able to remove that along with taking care of the immune system and killing off. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful in clearing it all out. Okay, so how can we help our bodies restore? One, cilantro is a heavy metal chelator. Okay. Two, Slim and Sassy helps chemical elimination. So where do we store a lot of chemicals in our body with cells? Fat cells. Okay, so when we're losing weight, we're releasing a lot of toxins into the body. So it's very important to be able to do something in conjunction with that. Lifelong vitality, what does that do? That pack allows us to get the nutrients we need. We'll talk about the omega-3s in a minute. Your food and nutrient complex has your vitamins and minerals in it. And then the cellular vitality complex, remember that mitochondria thing I was talking about? That supports the mitochondrial function. All right.
How old do you have to be to take these? Like, could a 6-year-old take them?
Yeah, I like this. Hey, Melody, what do you think? How old for the lifelong vitality does a child need to be to take those?
Gosh, as soon as they can swallow it. My 8-year-old takes it, but there's also the A to Z chewables.
I recommend the chewable, probably.
Mine
What
was
about the-
swallowing pills since he was 5.
That's amazing.
Mine swallow pills too since they were 5.
What about the GX Assist? Is it too hard
My
for a
kids are
6-year-old?
fine on GX Assist, but it's just they can take one.
Yeah.
I've treated.
I have them do it on a full stomach,
Bottom of the
and it's never 10 days for little kids. It's more usually like 4 or 5. They just don't. They need about half the dose that we take.
So these are modified accordingly. So the daily detoxification is endocrine. What does endocrine do? As you guys know, you hear it detoxifies the bodies. But what does it detoxify?
Is the biofilm is help with the bulk, is it the bulky part?
What organs? Better question.
Liver.
What organs?
Liver.
Liver. Okay, what else?
Kidney.
Kidney,
Skin.
skin,
Lungs.
lungs, and what have we been talking about?
Yeah.
Kidneys. Oh, we forgot.
Intestines, right? Intestines. So we have our five elimination organs. So in our 5 elimination organs, they need support to continue. So if we're detoxifying the body and we're losing weight, we got to be sure that our body's able to get rid of this stuff. We don't want to be dumping a bunch of toxins to the systems if we can't eliminate and get rid of it. So intestinal elimination and kidney elimination are vital to have those working, because when you're dumping the toxins from the liver into the intestines, you can reabsorb them back in there, or are you constipated? It's going to hold it in there and create disease. So this endocrine system is really important to be sure that you do. I know the formulator of Xendocrine, and the enzymes initially, they've changed them, and the phytoestrogens. He's a PhD guy, very smart, and I carry products in my clinic that are similar, as well as doTERRA. So I get the process of what they're doing and why he's doing it, but everybody needs enzymes for processing, so we're not stressing our body. Okay. Now, emotions. How do you believe emotions can change physiology and chemistry in the body? Everybody should, right? Absolutely. So negative emotions actually increase autoimmunity. Okay, it creates a cytokine, an inflammatory thing called interleukin-6, and upregulates that. So one of the things is you want to be sure that you're not down here thinking these bad things and having anger or fear or grief, but change your life to where you have peace, joy, and love in your life. So again, at the conference, I was listening to this guy presenting, and he said, take 5 to 10 minutes every morning, sometime during your day, and write down what you're grateful for. What do you have gratitude towards? That in itself is healing. And I find that with chronically sick people, that they're just down into the depths of their lives, and we got to reverse their thinking, because their thinking is, I can't get better. I can't overcome this. I can't do it on my own. You can. You can. So emotions and stress in your life really changes how your immune system functions. It actually downregulates and causes more inflammation and more autoimmunity. Here's some more essential oils for the emotional balancing. I recommend going to the class. And Melody gives a great class on emotions and what oils to use. And then here's some thyroid health oils that will support the thyroid and what we want. For general support, myrrh, frankincense, geranium, and ginger. For some of the support of the dysfunction, clove. Hypothyroidism, peppermint, lemongrass, and clove, DDR prime, and always frankincense. Frankincense is it's a good one for right? Everybody needs to know that.
It's important to know too that one size doesn't fit all. So people are very specific and individual depending on what's going on, and so that's why I really like to go to, if you've got, bad thyroid issues you've had for years, doing trial and error, just trying things, spin your wheels a lot of times doing that. So it's really nice to go to Dr. Watts and get a specific protocol. It's been very helpful for me.
So here's some other things that can help. So consider some selenium, the right kind of, you need to make sure you get the right kind of selenium, but for conversion of T4 to T3, your vitamin D, must have that, an alkaline diet. Remove any food sensitivities, identify any pathogens or infections, avoid iodine supplementation unless you're deficient and you've been tested for it.
What's an example of an iodine supplementation? I know it's
Just
kind of silly.
where there's iodine drops, that's one thing. Kelp, seaweed, or
You said to be sure you get the right selenium. How do you know what?
there's the methionine with selenium methionine is an amino acid injection with selenium that we want to have. I have it in my office. It's $8 for the bottle. It's really cheap. But if that's what you need, and there again, I always check to see if that's a deficiency. Yes.
How did kelp help to cleanse out radiation? That was kind of the whole thing when that happened some years ago.
It does. It's just if you have hypothyroidism, it may be you're deficient in iodine. Okay, but if you have autoimmunity, it can exacerbate the autoimmune pathways. So it just it's going to be dependent on the person. And yes, it could be just a deficiency in iodine, but in autoimmunity, that's something that you have to be sure you're doing a blood test for, right? And check what are my iodine levels, and then okay, I want to be sure they're within the range of doing that.
When you do not have a thyroid at all, because it's been removed, can you, and you're taking thyroid medication, prescription, is there a chance of eliminating that prescription by doing all of the, can this be treated, in other words?
So you probably have thyroid tissue in there, but no, you're going to have to take the thyroid medication. But there again, you want to be sure you're on the right thyroid medication, and then that your body's converting it and using it properly.
And what's the difference between the chemical thyroid medication and, say, the Armor, which is okay?
Okay. So like levothyroxine or Synthroid has a gluten binder in it, so it can create more autoimmunity for people that have Hashimoto's. Okay, it's T4, so if you're not converting T4 to T3, it's not working, and you don't feel any difference. And then the other thing is they have Nature-Throid and West-Throid. There's several different ones. You have to see what works for you, and then you have to have good liver function, and you have to have good adrenal function, and you have to have good digestion. Because digestion, 20% of the conversion, it happens in the intestinal system. Right? So you're missing out on 20% right there if your digestion system's messed up. And then your adrenal health, if it's fatigue, then it's inhibiting the liver enzyme that converts it over. So it's that process of making sure you go back to the basics of you're eliminating properly, all your elimination organs are working, your liver function is working, right? And then the adrenal health and everything goes together. It's not a one system thing. It's not you throw a medication at the thyroid and you're better. No, you need to heal the whole body. They all work together. The brain.
Off my seat. All these doctors you go to try this brand, try this brand. They take your liver's goofy, your pancreas,
Sure.
and they don't really have the answers for any of it, other than the American medical mafia that gives you prescriptions.
But that's just the system that they know, and so I don't fault them for that.
But they're not open-minded.
I just wish they did more research. So, same thing with hormones. I know a lot of females that take all the bioidentical hormones. And when you take hormones, it's great and all, that may be because you're deficient, but is your body processing that? Just because you take something into your body doesn't mean that it's getting processed through the body and back out and eliminated or recycled. So you have to be sure that the liver is king. I had that slide in there earlier, little triangles on the liver. 70% of your enzymes come from your liver. If you don't have good liver function or liver stress, then that's going to affect everything. Period. Neurotransmitters, your hormones, all your digestion, everything. The answer in biochemistry when I was in my doctorate program from the instructor, he said, if you don't know the answer where it occurs, guess the liver. Okay, so some other things we can use is to help us is turmeric, resveratrol, and the omegas. And I'll go through and apply that here in a second. Other things we can do, infrared sauna, vitamin D in high doses, consider the IVs, nutrition, ultraviolet blood irradiation, meditation, stress management, and then chiropractic health, and energetic medicine.
You said vitamin D, but it says vitamin C there,
Yes,
which is
these are added things. So vitamin C,
both of those would
vitamin C helps in many different things. So it's required to make collagen in the body, and all organs and tissues have collagen. Also, is a great antioxidant. So it helps to get rid of free radicals in the body, as well as glutathione, which was up earlier in there too. So one of the things I do in my clinic is IV therapy.
What
All
do
right.
you do at your clinic, you said?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
IV, nutritional IV therapy. So back to this guy again. Where do we put this? Suppressor cells that regulate autoimmunity between this guy getting out of control or this guy getting out of control. Okay, requires two main items: glutathione, okay, and vitamin D3. Now you have vitamin D3, you have to be sure that you understand how that's processed and that you're actually using it. Magnesium is very important for that as well. And then there's the K, probably people take that with vitamin K as well. So those two things are necessary. Was it grapefruit that helps with glutathione?
Yes, grapefruit and citrus oils. Grapefruit in particularly also helps with the side effects from drugs. It will help bind the toxins from drugs. Bigger drug actually works better.
Yeah. So one last thing.
Oh yeah, I was just
Your omegas here for your chronic condition. In dealing with it, you got to make sure you get all your omegas in there. So that's really important for that. And then your turmeric, resveratrol, those are going to help in modifying the cytokine regulation in the Th1, Th2 pathway and downregulating that. So last but not least, anemia, blood sugar control, adrenal health, and pyroluria are super important. And if you have questions on that, you can ask me later.